As we journey through the years, a quiet truth begins to settle into our hearts, one that reshapes the way we see the world. The most valuable treasures in life, the ones that truly matter, aren't the glittering prizes we can purchase with a swipe of a card. They don't reside in the cold steel of a luxury car, the sprawling rooms of a mansion, or the endless zeros of a bank account. Instead, as the lines deepen on our faces and the silver threads weave through our hair, we come to understand that the greatest riches of old age are the ones that fill our souls with unshakable joy, serene peace, and a profound sense of purpose. Gifts no fortune could ever rival. But how many of these treasures do we truly hold close? How often do we pause to take stock of what lights up our days when the distractions of youth fade into memory? Today, we're going to embark on an exploration together, peeling back the layers to reveal 5 of the most precious treasures of old age, the ones that stand resilient when everything else crumbles away. These are the cornerstones of a life that feels rich, meaningful, and deeply satisfying. Those who learn to cherish them early reap the rewards of vibrant, contented later years. Whether you're already cradling these gifts in your hands or just beginning to see their worth, this journey will shine a light on what truly endures. Stay with me until the end, because the more of these treasures you embrace, the brighter and fuller your life will become. And if you find any missing from your collection, take heart. It's never too late to start weaving them into the fabric of your days, building a legacy of health, love, wisdom, peace, and meaning. Let's dive in. Number 1. Health and mobility. The first treasure glimmers like a quiet miracle, often unnoticed until its edges begin to fray. Good health and the freedom to move through life unburdened. It's not merely about adding years to the calendar. It's about filling those years with vitality, free from the ache of constant pain or the weight of limitation. Imagine waking each morning to a body that rises willingly, knees bending without protest, lungs drawing deep breaths of crisp air, legs carrying you wherever your heart desires. When you can stroll through a sun-dappled park, reach down to tie your shoes, or climb a flight of stairs without a second thought, you hold one of aging's most priceless gifts. Experts, doctors, researchers, trainers all echo the same refrain. Movement is the golden key to preserving this treasure. It's the gentle rhythm of a walk that keeps joints supple, the stretch of a yoga pose that holds muscles firm, the steady pulse of a swim that sends blood coursing through your veins. Yet, how often do we let this wisdom slip away in our later years? Too many retirees, eager for rest after decades of labor, sink into the soft embrace of an armchair, mistaking stillness for reward. The truth cuts sharper than we expect. The less we move, the more our bodies stiffen, rusting like an unused machine until even the simplest tasks feel monumental. Take Roger, a 78-year-old man whose story mirrors so many. For 40 years, he sat behind an office desk, his days a blur of memos and meetings. When retirement arrived, he welcomed it with open arms, envisioning long hours of television and quiet afternoons with his feet up. Rest, he thought, was his hard-earned prize. But time told a different tale. Within a few years, Roger found himself wincing as he rose from his favorite recliner, his knees groaning under the strain. Short walks to the mailbox left him winded, and the stiffness in his joints became a constant companion. It wasn't age creeping in, it was neglect. Then, one crisp autumn morning, Roger laced up an old pair of sneakers and stepped outside. A 15-minute walk around the block became 20, then 30. He added stretches, awkward at first, but soon fluid, easing the tension from his shoulders and hips. Months later, the change was undeniable. Energy surged through him. His steps grew lighter, and the confidence he'd lost returned in quiet waves. Roger wasn't just moving again, he was living. Health, though, isn't forged by movement alone. It's nourished by what we invite into our bodies. Picture a plate vibrant with color, crisp greens, ruby red tomatoes, golden grains, each bite a gift to your cells. Hydration keeps the engine humming, while balance in our diet tamps down the fires of inflammation that stiffen joints and sap strength. Too many dismiss this, not realizing how sugar-laden treats and processed meals amplify their aches, while whole, fresh foods rebuild what time seeks to wear away. And then there's sleep, the unsung hero of vitality. 7 or 8 hours of deep, restorative rest mend the day's wear, sharpen the mind, and fortify the immune system. Skimp on it, and fatigue creeps in. Coordination falters, and even the smallest stumbles loom larger. A simple routine, dimming the screens, settling into bed at the same hour, can transform how you greet each dawn. Perhaps the greatest secret to this treasure lies in listening. Our bodies whisper before they shout, morning stiffness, a fleeting shortness of breath, a tiredness that lingers. Ignore these, and they grow louder. Heed them with a doctor's visit or a tweak to your habits, and you sidestep suffering. Those who choose prevention over resignation often dance through their later years with a freedom others only dream of. To wake without pain, to chase a grandchild across the yard, to savor a hobby without struggle. This is the treasure of mobility. Nurture it now, and it will carry you far, not just lengthening your life, but flooding it with life. Number 2, deep relationships. The second treasure isn't one you can cradle in your palm. It's the warm, living presence of those who walk beside you. As the years stack up, it's not the possessions we've amassed that wrap us in comfort. It's the laughter of a friend, the embrace of a child, the knowing glance of a partner who's seen you through it all. Deep relationships, forged over decades, tested by time, and polished by care, become more precious than any jewel money could buy. They're the heartbeat of a rich life, the anchor when storms brew, the mirror reflecting who we truly are. Yet how easily we let them slip through our fingers, assuming they'll wait patiently until we're ready to tend them. Time, though, is a thief with swift hands. Without effort, bonds weaken, phone calls dwindle, gatherings thin, and the people we once held close drift into the haze of memory. Too many retirees wake to this truth too late, surrounded by silence where voices once rang. Relationships don't thrive on neglect. They bloom with intention, small gestures, shared moments, the courage to reach out when distance has grown. George, a 75-year-old widower, learned this the hard way. His career as a salesman had consumed him. Late nights, missed dinners, promises of later to his wife and kids. Retirement, he thought, would be his chance to make it right. But when he finally stopped running, he found the bridges to his family weathered and frail. His daughter's calls were brief, his son's visits rare, and old friends had scattered. Loneliness crept in, heavier than he'd imagined, until regret became his shadow. But George refused to let it define him. One evening he picked up the phone, his voice trembling as he dialed his daughter. "How about coffee this weekend?" he asked. She hesitated, then agreed. He called his son next, then an old buddy from his sales days. Slowly he rebuilt. Coffee turned into dinners, catch-up-sups into traditions. He joined a local gardening club, trading stories over soil-stained hands. Over months, then years, the emptiness faded, replaced by a chorus of voices that filled his home and heart. George discovered what studies confirm. Strong ties don't just warm the soul, they lengthen life, sharpen the mind, and soften the edges of stress. Connection isn't a luxury, it's a lifeline. Building this treasure doesn't demand grand gestures. It's the quiet acts, sending a text to check in, carving out an hour for a visit, listening when words spill over. Sometimes it means swallowing pride, offering forgiveness, or stepping forward when the other won't. The effort, though, yields a richness that outshines any material gain. Picture a holiday table alive with chatter, a phone call that ends in "I love you," a friend who knows your quirks and stays anyway. These are the threads of a life well lived. As age deepens, the happiest among us know this. It's not what we own, but who we hold that makes us rich. Number 3, a clear mind and lifelong learning. The third treasure gleams like a beacon in the fog of years, a mind that remains sharp, curious, and alive with wonder. It's the ability to unravel a puzzle, savor a story, or marvel at a new idea, even as the candles on your birthday cake multiply. Many assume that age dims the intellect, that memory fades, and thoughts slow as an inevitable toll of time. But the truth is kinder. The mind is a muscle, eager to flex, and it thrives when we dare to challenge it. Those who keep learning, probing the world with questions, seeking fresh skills, embracing the unknown, carry a clarity and confidence that defy the calendar, lighting their later years with purpose and pride. For decades, work often hands us this gift without asking. Deadlines to meet, problems to solve, skills to hone. But when retirement strips away that structure, the mind can drift into stillness, lulled by the hum of routine. Television flickers, days blur, and without a spark to ignite it, the brain softens. Names slip away, conversations falter, the world feels smaller. Yet, just as a walk strengthens the legs, a challenge sharpens the mind. Margaret, a 72-year-old former teacher, felt this shift firsthand. Retirement had promised ease, crosswords by the fireplace, reruns of old shows, a life unhurried. At first, it soothed her. But 3 years in, she noticed the cracks. Words danced just out of reach. Details of yesterday blurred, and her once quick wit stumbled. "It's just age," she told herself, resigned. Then a friend's offhand comment. "You used to love a good debate," struck a chord. Margaret decided to fight back. She signed up for a Spanish class, her tongue tripping over rolling R's until they flowed. She bought a set of paints, her brush hesitant at first, then bold, splashing color across canvas. She joined a book club, diving into discussions that stretched her thinking. Within 6 months, the fog lifted. Names snapped back into place. Her laughter rang truer, and the world bloomed anew. Margaret wasn't just sharper, she was herself again, alive with the thrill of discovery. Science backs her triumph. Neurologists tout lifelong learning as a shield against decline. Reading a novel, mastering a chord, debating a headline, all forge new pathways in the brain, keeping it nimble. The happiest retirees don't rest on past laurels. They chase new horizons, whether it's deciphering a recipe in Italian, tracing history through a documentary, or strumming a guitar for the first time. And it's not a solitary pursuit. Conversation, the give and take of ideas, keeps the mind elastic. Those who retreat from the chatter of others often find their thoughts shrinking, while those who engage, arguing, laughing, teaching, stay vibrant. This treasure asks little, but gives much. It's the daily habit of curiosity, a podcast on the morning walk, a sketchbook by the bedside, a question posed to a friend. No classroom required, just a willingness to lean into the unfamiliar. A clear mind doesn't just preserve independence, it opens doors, connects you to the pulse of life, and whispers that growth has no expiration date. To think, to learn, to wonder. These are the quiet joys that make age a privilege, not a burden. Number 4. Emotional peace and gratitude. The fourth treasure is a soft glow, often overlooked amid life's clamor. Emotional peace, the gentle calm that settles when we release what weighs us down. In youth, we chase trophies of success, promotions, paychecks, praise, believing they'll unlock happiness. But as the years unfold, we see the mirage for what it is. True contentment doesn't hang on a title or a bank balance. It blooms within, watered by gratitude, forgiveness, and the courage to let go. Those who cradle this peace find their days lighter, their hearts fuller, their lives richer. Not because everything is perfect, but because they've learned to savor what is. Yet this treasure rarely arrives unbidden. For many, retirement stirs a tangle of emotions, regret over roads not taken, bitterness from old wounds, worry about what's next. Left unchecked, these shadows dim even the sunniest moments. Eleanor, a 79-year-old grandmother, knew this struggle well. Her life had been a tapestry of highs and lows, a career she'd abandoned too soon, friendships lost to time, words left unsaid. For years, she carried these like stones, her mind replaying what-ifs until joy felt distant. She'd sit on her porch, the sunset painting the sky, and still feel hollow, trapped by a past she couldn't rewrite. One rainy afternoon, Eleanor decided enough was enough. She pulled out a notebook and scribbled 3 things she was thankful for: her health, her grandson's toothy grin, the roses blooming by her door. The next day, she added 3 more. She called an old friend, her voice shaky but warm, rekindling a bond she'd thought lost. She forgave herself for choices she couldn't change, letting the anger dissolve like mist. Week by week, the weight lifted. Smiles came easier. The porch became a sanctuary, and each sunrise felt like a gift. Eleanor didn't erase her past, she reframed it, finding peace in the now. Research lights the path she took. Gratitude, studies say, rewires the brain, tuning it to joy over lack. Less stress, stronger hearts, brighter moods. It's the pause to notice a warm meal, a kind word, the hush of dawn. Forgiveness, too, is a balm. Releasing grudges doesn't rewrite history, but it frees the present, unshackling us from pain we don't deserve to carry. The happiest retirees don't deny life's scars. They choose to see beyond them, finding wealth in a quiet moment, a shared laugh, a deep breath, the rustle of leaves. Emotional peace isn't the absence of struggle, it's the presence of grace, a treasure that turns every day into a small miracle. Number 5. A legacy of meaning. The final treasure isn't one we clutch. It's one we release into the world. A legacy that echoes long after we're gone. As life's chapters near their close, we see it clearly. What matters isn't what we've hoarded, but what we've shared. Not wealth or titles, but the wisdom we impart, the kindness we scatter, the lives we touch. A meaningful legacy isn't built in grand gestures alone. It's woven through quiet acts, the values we plant in others, the ripples we set in motion. Those who embrace this find their later years not just full, but eternal, their influence stretching beyond time. Walter, an 81-year-old mechanic, came to this late. His life had been a steady grind, fixing engines, raising kids, stacking savings. Retirement brought rest, but also a question: what would outlast him? His tools would rust, his bank account dwindle. Had he left anything deeper? One day, he overheard a young neighbor struggling with a job search. Walter offered advice, practical, hard-earned, and saw the boy's eyes light up. That sparked something. He began mentoring teens in his old trade, scribbled tales of his youth for his grandkids, fixed a widow's fence down the street. Each act felt small, but together they built something vast, a legacy of generosity and grit. Legacy doesn't demand fame. It's the lesson taught over coffee, the story saved in a letter, the smile offered to a stranger. It's time spent with intention, volunteering, guiding, loving. Walter learned, as the wise do, that life's truest wealth is what we give away. A meaningful legacy ensures we live on, not in stone, but in hearts, a treasure that makes every moment matter. Final thoughts. In the twilight of our years, the truth shines clear. The greatest treasures aren't bought, they're cultivated. Health to dance through days, relationships to warm our nights, a mind to meet each challenge, peace to still our storms, a legacy to light the way forward. These are the riches that endure. Reflect now. Which do you hold? Which can you grow? Every step toward them, however small, paints your life with meaning. Call a friend, stretch your legs, learn a word, forgive a hurt, share a kindness. Life begs to be lived fully, and these treasures make it so. The rewrite is finished. May it inspire you to seek your own.